Hey guys, it's Taylor here. I thought with a recent update to the neural DSP quad Cortex where they made it finally compatible with the plugins, I thought it'd be a good time for me to dive in and do a bit of a tier list for the plugins to see which ones I rate highly or which ones I don't rate so much. Okay, so getting into it. I've created the tier list, so there's a category at the bottom to say the ones that I haven't tried because I don't want to be unfair and rate ones that I haven't tried. And then I'm sure you all know how tier lists work, S being the highest, C being the least. So we're going to start with the ARCHETYPE Abasi. This is one that I don't own. So off to a good start, but I haven't yet got the ARCHETYPE Abasi. I'm not sure why. I think it's maybe because all my needs have kind of been met in that category of kind of that prog metal gent vibe with other plugins, but yeah, I haven't got that one yet. Let me know if it's something that I should actually look at getting. So next up, I've got ARCHETYPE RABEA. I do own this one. I've done a little bit of a video on it. I'll put the link in the description. Oh yeah, I really like this plugin. It has an amazing set of features for creativity with the synth, the delay, reverbs, the fuzz. It's quite a unique one in terms of its features. Gotta say that the clean Fender twin style amp I love. The two channels at the Kraken, I prefer maybe channel 1, so the white amp in it. Yeah, there's not much I don't like about this one. It's pretty awesome. I'd say maybe the cab IRs can be a little bit muddy, but yeah, besides that, I think it's pretty awesome, and I think it's rockets straight into the A tier, and it kind of sets the standard from here on out for creativity in terms of like archetypes. I really enjoyed this one. Okay, so now we've got the FORTIN Cali. I only recently got this one. I haven't spent a whole lot of time with it. I've got to say though, it's an awesome recreation of the FORTIN amp. It's a modded British style amp, and I got to say it's right up my alley. I love that type of amp. It's quite diverse. You can do a lot of genres. I've been enjoying it for a bit of a pop punk emo kind of sound. Maybe its weak points would be the features and then also the cab IRs I'm not in love with. For this, I'm just purely on the amp sounds alone. I'm gonna put it in the A tier, but we'll see. I don't wanna flood too many of the tiers with amps, so as I go, some might get pushed around. Okay, next up, I have the Corey Wong. Again, I've recently only just got this one, so not a whole lot of time with it yet. I feel like this one's quite unique in terms of all the plugins on the range. It features quite an awesome DI console amp, the amp one. Then you've got the clean machine one, and then also the amp snob, which is kind of like a Dumble-esque amp, I assume. And yeah, that amp's really cool to really crank the gain or dial it back again, that edge of breakup tones. One of my favorite features for this ARCHETYPE actually is the cab IRs. I think they're quite unique, and throwing a high gain amp or a British style amp through these ones, you get quite a unique sound. And yeah, I feel like it's a pretty cool plugin. So overall, I don't think it's an A tier for me. It's right in between the B and the C, so I'm gonna put it in the B for now and revisit it later. Okay, so now we're on to the first one that is actually a bass plugin. So it is the Dark Glass Ultra. Yeah, so I've had this one for a while now. It is pretty awesome. It is a bass plugin, which isn't where I spend most of my time. It's got a couple of awesome presets. The pedal sounds awesome, putting it in front of other bass amp sims. For this one, I'm gonna put it in the C tier just because I feel like there's a better bass plugin that we'll get to soon. Okay, so next up we have the GOJIRA X plugin. I've got to say, for me, ever since the X update, this plugin has become a lot more used in my arsenal. I've done a video for it. It's still my most viewed video. The link will be in the description for that one also, or here I can even maybe insert a bit of a clip of it. But yeah, this plugin's amazing. Some of the best cab IRs out of all of the neural DSP plugins. I gotta say, it's kind of sits in the realm of, in terms of the scope of all the plugins, it's quite similar to a lot of them, but a little bit different as well. Yeah, I've got to say, this is probably the first one that's pushing the S tier. We'll put it there for now. I don't want to have too many in the S tier, so we'll see how we go. But yeah, I really love the GOJIRA X, the pitch-based effects, even the clean amp. When you push that, oh, it's so good. So yeah, S tier, first S tier we've got. Okay, so now we have the Omega Ampworks Granifier. This amp is probably the most unique in terms of amp sounds out of all of them. It's an amazing amp. I've got to say the biggest weak point is the cab IRs. I don't really get along with them. There's no post effects on this plugin, so it's very much kind of just a plug and play amp. And yeah, I got to say, it's an awesome amp. If you want that heavier style music, I always see the likes of Misha Mansour from Periphery just using this and getting some epic sounds. He also kind of mentioned that the cab IRs potentially are a weak point, so he uses the Get Good drums, like Kali Suite or the Zilla, and yeah, I can see why. Once you do that, this thing becomes a beast. In saying that, because of the lack of features, it doesn't quite step up to that next level, so I'm going to put it in A tier for now, but probably the lower side of the A tier because, again, the features are limiting. Okay, so for now, we've probably got for me what is the sleeper of all of the neural DSP plugins for the heavier rock and metal amp. It is the Mesa Boogie Mark series suite. I've got to say that this amp has such a massive range of sounds in it. This amp's a little bit difficult just to plug and play. It's got a lot of intricacies to it with all the push-pull knobs, and yeah, more knobs than almost any other amp in the series. But once you get your head around that, oh my god, the sounds can be quite awesome, and it can be quite a rewarding amp. Features a lot of pedals and some really good cab IRs, so yeah, for this one too, I would say most people probably don't rate this one as much as I do, but I'm going to say it is got to be up there in the A tier. I'm going to put it in front of the Granifier and the FORTIN Kali because, yeah, I love this one. So now we have the Archetype Tom Morello. I'm a massive lover of all things Marshall. I love the JCMs. I've owned a 900, a 2000, JCM 2000. And I love them. I love everything about them. And for some reason, I've got to say that this Marshall they've captured here, Tom Morello's Marshall, it just does not sound good with any guitar that I have. I struggle to get a good sound out of it. There's no like boost pedals in the Archetype, so I really struggle to get it to where I want it to go. But in saying that, like the effects in there to kind of get that Rage Against the Machine sound, it can do it for sure, but I feel like in terms of diversity and the sounds that I'm chasing, it kind of falls short. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm not trying hard enough. But yeah, this is one that I bought from the demos because I loved the sound of it, but I can't get it to sound like that. So maybe if you guys could give me a few tips or yeah, show me how you get good sounds out of it. But yeah, this one's straight into the C tier for me. Yeah, I just can't get it to sound good. Okay, so now we come to the FORTIN Nameless. So the first plugin from Neural DSP, and with the recent X update, which I've also done a video for, maybe I'll put a little clip here. so as you can see, this plugin sounds immense, and I think we've got to pay a little bit of respect to this one. Being the first one, it's straight away, it's got to go into the S tier. Yeah, it's got to go in front of the Gojira. It is unbelievable, the sound you get from this thing. I reckon that majority of the metal albums you listen to these days probably feature this amp. It is so good. Yeah, not much bad I can say about it. With that recent X update, it just is a whole new beast. And I love it. I don't always play the heaviest of music, but for some reason I do on this channel, because amps like this come out and I just can't put them down. Yeah, so much fun. #1 so far on this tier list. Okay, so next up we have the ARCHETYPE John Petrucci. I gotta say this one has got to get a little bit of respect, because it's the first one that brought in all the features that are kind of now going to be synonymous with these plugins with the X updates. All the transpose, everything like that. Yeah, this one kind of is to thank, because now every amp will eventually get these for once they become compatible with the quad Cortex. But yeah, again, this one's kind of like, it felt like all the amp sims that had already been done had just been put into this, even though it's not the case. It's just, it feels like all the amps kind of sound similar to potentially another type in the series. Although one thing that sets this apart is the effects on it. Pretty awesome. Yeah, you could get this one in lieu of getting, say, like the RABEA or many of the others, but yeah, you've really got to be into kind of what John Petrucci does. I'm gonna say I'm not the biggest listener of the likes of Dream Theater and stuff like that, but I can appreciate the plugin and the sounds it can get. It's going very top of the B tier for now. Yeah, it's tough. Oh, it's tough. Yeah, okay, we're gonna leave it in the B tier. I don't really use it, so it's in the B tier. I know a lot of people love this plugin, but I just don't use it, so I guess it's got to be in the B tier. Okay, so next we have the ARCHETYPE Tim Henson. Another one I do not own, so it goes into the haven't tried. I love JCM 800s. I know that one features on this. It has the multi-voicer, whatever it's called. Maybe something I'll look into. Let me know if you guys enjoy this one. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason I haven't got into this one. I feel like there's other amps that kind of do what I'd imagine this one does for me, but yeah. It's just, I've just not got it yet, so it goes in the haven't tried. Okay, now we have the ARCHETYPE NOLLY. Recently featuring on my channel for the X update. Here's a bit of a clip here. As you can hear, it rocks. This thing is unbelievable. I love the new interface with the X update. So good. I think it's the biggest Swiss Army knife out of the whole series. It can do it all, and it can do it all well. Pretty much, you want to get any sound, you go here, you're going to get it. For that, I've got to say it sits #1 on the S tier. Well, #1 on the S tier for now. We'll see how we go with that. So now we go to the FORTIN NTS suite. Again, I don't own this one, so no real comment for it. I've seen people get some awesome sounds out of it. I don't know why I haven't jumped at purchasing it yet, you let me know if it's one that I should get into or you'd like to see a demo of. Yeah, I don't know, I feel like just maybe other amps are doing what it can do, maybe even better, I'm not sure, but yeah, just let me know if you think that one's worthy of checking out or if you rate it. And yeah, we'll see, it might feature on the channel in the future. Okay, so now we have the Parallax plugin from Neural DSP, also recently updated with the X to become Parallax X. Yeah, this thing I recently got just prior to the X update because I knew it was coming. And yeah, it's superseded the dark glass for me. This one is just find a good preset and forget about it. It does it all. It makes the bass sit in the mix beautifully. Again, this is more of a guitar-centric YouTube channel, so bass doesn't really feature. But yeah, I feel like if you want to get good bass sounds, yeah, Parallax is up there. It's A tier, bottom of the A tier for me because it's not a guitar plugin, but it sounds so good. So, okay, so now we have the Neural DSP Soldano SLO 100, also recently updated with an X, which I did a video for as well. Here's another clip. Yeah, awesome plugin. This one, it kind of becomes a little bit lackluster in terms of fitting in a mix. It sounds so good just plugging and playing. The cab IRs probably aren't the best, but soon as I put this one into a mix, I feel like I'm tweaking everything to kind of make it sound not like it does when you initially just plug and play. For this, oh, it's such a good amp. I don't know why I struggle to get it into the mix. I've got to say, it's probably the very top of B tier. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you guys have a few tips for Soldano amps and how to get them to sit in the mix a bit better, or certain settings, or even have some presets that you guys have, let me know, because I'm interested in turning this amp to maybe more of a more frequently used one. But yeah, maybe I could do a video on that, how to trying to master the Soldano SLO 100. At the minute, I don't have it, so it sits in the B tier. Okay, now, so probably one of the most forgotten or slept on amps out of all is the Tone King from Neural DSP. Yeah, the Tone King Imperial, it's such a good amp. I feel like if you ever get to play one in person, you'll just go, oh yeah, I've got to have this. And then to have it in a plugin, I can't believe it. It's so awesome. I haven't done anything with it for the channel. I probably haven't flexed that side of the music muscle yet, where it'll feature a bit more of like the ambient, clean side of things. I saw someone in the Neural DSP forums do like a thrice cover with this one for Words in the Water, and it got so close, and I was like, oh, I've got to have this one. And I've got to say, you can get everywhere with this amp, from a like British indie rock to pushing it a little bit further, maybe even a bit of a shoegaze vibe. Yeah, this amp is a must-have for me. I love it. And I think it's the first one that's going to cause a bit of a reshuffle here, because I've got too many in the A list. So I am going to go, I'm going to say, at the minute, I use this one more frequently than FORTIN Cali. So it's got to go there. The Omega, the lack of features, it's going to go down into the top of B. That's probably more because of my style of playing in genre. I feel like if I played a bit more heavier music, this would feature higher, which kind of seems crazy considering all the top amps so far are heavier ones, but they've got a lot of diversity in them, so that's why they're there. And we're going to drop down the Parallax. I'm not a bass player, so it's just going to come into the B tier here. behind the Omega, and then the FORTIN Cali. Oh, we'll see. You can sit there for now, but yeah, we're getting a bit close to reaching probably the limit for that, to be fair. Okay, so now we have the Morgan amp suite 4 neural DSP. This one I've also featured on the channel. Here's a bit of a clip. 3 very unique boutique amps. You can get various sounds out of these. I love the Vox style amps, so straight away that AC20, I think it is. Yeah, I love that. I love cranking that, maybe with a baritone, and just really listening to the bottom end of that. It does something quite nice when you have a small valve amp getting pushed with a ton of low end of a baritone. It just, yeah, it's awesome. This amp series, it's unbelievable. Again, this one you can kind of bring in some of your own IRs, maybe some awesome 4x12 IRs, and you kind of go into a different realm you don't expect. Yeah, this one's straight in there. I use it more than FORTIN Cali. I probably use it the same amount as the Tone King. Yeah, it's gonna sit there, and then we're gonna bring the FORTIN Cali into the B tier because, again, I don't really want to have too many sitting in that A tier. And then that's gonna bring the Corey Wong down to the C tier. Yeah, that's quite a good balance, I think. Okay, so next we have the Archetype Mateus Asado. Hopefully I've said that correctly. He is a freak of a guitar player. I could sit there and just watch his YouTube or his Instagram all day. Probably one of my favorite guitar players, and the plugin is no slouch. I've got to say that the effects in this amp are probably some of my favorite. The delay and the reverb just far exceed many of the other attempts of just that and every other plugin. It's unbelievable. Probably the best Fender Twin style amp out of the lot. I think it's a bit better than the RABEA in terms of the Fender Twin. The AC30 style amp, I think it might even be a matchless. Maybe not quite as good as the Morgan, but yeah, it's still awesome. And then you've got the, I think it's like a Bogner Shiva, maybe, as the high gain crunch amp. It's pretty cool. Oh, it's a tough one. I'm gonna say that I like this one a lot. I've got a lot of presets where I just sit there and listen to like a British rock album, say like the Catfish and the Bottom, and I'll just jam along, and this amp gets me there straight away, this plugin. Also amazing for post-rock with them effects. I'm gonna say that it has to sit in the A tier for me. Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, so now the last amp to put onto this tier list, I feel like everyone loves it, and it's for good reason. It's Archetype PLINI X. Yeah, not much to say about it besides how good it is. The clean amp is unreal. The X update did it a whole lot of favors. That mid crunch amp, I'm not even really sure what it is. All I know is it rocks. It could even be a Marshall of some sort. I don't know, haven't looked into it. Maybe let me know. Yeah, the effects, the amps, everything, the presets in it are so good. I've been watching videos of people kind of using this alongside the GOJIRA in the quad Cortex, and just sounds so good. I've got to say that this one is easily in the S tier, just where it goes. Oof. I'm gonna say it probably sits, if I could put it exactly in line with the NOLLY X, it would. They're my two favorites, NOLLY and PLINI. I feel like that's the general consensus with most guitar players. It's the NOLLY and the PLINI. Yeah, they're so good. I prefer the NOLLY for like the more metal, hardcore, post-hardcore sounds, and I prefer PLINI for pretty much everything else. The cleans, the post-rock, the shoegazy, yeah, like fuzzed out, chorus affected. Yeah, like even getting that octave pedal on, I overuse that so much. It's pretty much all I use once I get to this plugin. Yeah, I love it. I find myself just playing a whole Spotify playlist and then just listening, tuning this amp. It can do it all. It's so good. They really knocked it out of the park when they did the PLINI plugins, and now it's on the Quad Cortex, which is awesome. I don't actually own a Quad Cortex, but I feel like if I get into playing live again, I'm gonna look at the Quad Cortex straight away, just because I know I can bring the sounds that I get straight into it. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for this tier list, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully a bit of insight in there for you guys and how I view the plugins. I gotta say, out of all the neural DSP plugins, you can't really go wrong. They do everything super well. There's just some that do it a little bit better than others. Yeah, if you guys want me to go any further in depth on any specific plugins, or check out another one on this channel, or even, yeah, create a song in a specific genre, just let me know. I'm happy to take on that challenge. I would really enjoy one day jamming along with the plugins in the Quad Cortex. Yeah, let's see if that day comes, but right now I've got the plugins to enjoy and I'm enjoying them. So thanks for watching, and let me know what else you want to see on this channel. Cheers, guys.